We are live. What's going on, everyone? Thank you all so much for tuning in at this time. Everybody that's here, I greatly appreciate it. Anybody watch this on the replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So got the official release of the season. We also got the in-season tournament and all that stuff. So, we're month and a half out from training camp, which I'm really excited for. Can't wait to see and hear all the news, especially for guys like Adu Thero, obviously DeAndre Ayton, Jake LaRavia, right? Basically all the new guys, Marcus Smart, guys like that. How do they kind of fit on this team, on this roster? How are things looking? How does Luka look, right? How does LeBron look? How does Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, are they able to start to create that trio? And just, overall, how is the outlook of this team? But in general, I mean, beyond that, this season, I think is very, every season's important, right? And the goal every year is to win an NBA championship. No ands, ifs, buts about it, right? But, this season feels, like a little, not more important than usual, but, for lack of a better word, right? Because you think of all the things, right? Like, this is probably the last iteration of this current team, right? Like, after this year, LeBron's probably gone, right? This team's probably getting restructured entirely, right? Like, this kind of feels like the last kind of stand for, LeBron, Lakers, and Luka and LeBron, and what ends up happening. Obviously, if the Lakers do end up winning the NBA championship this year, then I think that, they probably run it back and LeBron sticks around. But if they don't, then I do think that, we're going to have a very different Lakers team going forward, right? That you're already starting to see the process of building for, the future, and building around Luka Doncic and so on and so forth. And we'll kind of see, how much they kind of change things, in the 2026-2027 season. But like, even guys like Rui, there were reports that they're probably not going to bring him back, and that they're not giving him a contract, and we'll see what happens there. Austin Reeves, right? What do they do with his contract, right? You kind of go down the list of things, and there's a lot of potential to where, this team is, outside of Reeves, Luka, and maybe Ayton, are completely different. That we have a completely different roster, completely different outlook, completely different team. So this season does feel in a lot of ways like the last hurrah with these guys, right? And again, I don't think it's necessarily more important than any other season, but like, just with this iteration of the Lakers, with LeBron James and this Lakers team, like, how does this kind of progress going forward? How do they look at this team going forward? And time will tell, right? Like, but I mean, it all starts with the scheduling and the back-to-backs and all the things. So I really want to kind of go over the schedule. Of course, we'll answer questions along the way, and all the super chat questions, and I'll get into the chat and stuff. But really just kind of want to break down the schedule period, kind of go over the first 10 games and stuff, and kind of key points period as to how this season is going to shape up, right? Especially early on, right? You want to set the tone, you want to establish early, you kind of want to create that identity, and then kind of from there, kind of continue to build upon that. And, you're going to have these stretches. Obviously, there's games where, might win, 10 straight, you might lose 3 or 4 straight, but the idea is like, hey, don't lose too many consecutive, right? Like, the last thing I want to see is, I don't want to see the Lakers lose 3-4 games in a row, right? Ideally, you don't want to see them lose multiple games in a row, period. But you have stretches here and there, back-to-backs, guys get night off, whatever. You lose 2 games in a row here and there. I don't think that that's a big deal. But just in general, I don't want to see the Lakers kind of fall into that hole of like, them starting to get a little too behind the 8 ball. Right. We need to see the Lakers make sure that they're handling business and doing what they're supposed to be doing, night in and night out. And, it starts with kind of the beginning stages. Again, setting the tone, establishing what you need to establish for this team, and kind of the building blocks going forward. So, again, this is a new team in a lot of ways. First off season, first training camp of Luka Doncic, right? So there's a lot that they're going to have to kind of figure out. There's a lot that they're going to have to kind of go over. There's a lot that is going to kind of play into the role, of this season in general, right? So, to me, I'm hopeful that it doesn't take too long to kind of get into the swing of things, right? Because my concern is like there's like that learning curve, that adjustment period. I'm hoping that they're able to kind of figure it all out, work it all out early on, right? Early into the season, so that way you can kind of, just get going, right? Hit the ground running, really take off for this team. Because my concern is that we get into the season and we get, whatever, 10 games in, and it's like the Lakers are 5-5, and obviously there's going to be this sense of like, oh no, is this Lakers team trash? But it might just be them trying to get into a rhythm and find themselves, right? Trying to make certain things work, make it work with Luka and LeBron, and make it work with Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, and the DeAndre Ayton in the defense, and figuring out the defensive schemes, and figuring out the offensive schemes, and figuring out all the things that they need to figure out. What's the starting lineup, right? Like what the season begins with might not be the same thing as what we get 25 games in or 30 games in or something like that, right? Like, so again, it's just kind of learning what this team is, learning kind of the structure of this team, and kind of building upon it. And I'm hoping that learning curve, that kind of beginning stage doesn't like that it doesn't take a while to build up on. I'm hoping that we're able to kind of figure everything out in training camp, kind of build upon it, right? LeBron kind of playing the second option. He'll never really truly be the second option, but kind of playing that role more off ball, letting Luka be Luka, right? How do they kind of manage that? Right? Like, is it kind of just you go, I go, you go, I go, or are they able to kind of, balance that out? Austin Reeves, does he kind of get relegated to a catch and shoot 3-point shooter like we saw in the playoffs, right? Where, Luka's kind of doing his thing, LeBron secondary, and then, you see Austin Reeves, DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic. How does that duo work? Does that end up being something where, DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic, like that's like the connection, like that's the main target, and maybe he's the third guy. So okay, so what does that mean for us? Like, there's so many things that they're going to have to kind of map out, figure out, progressing over the course of the season, and just kind of take these as building blocks going forward. So we'll kind of see how this progresses, but obviously again, I want to see the Lakers get off to a good start, right? Ideally, I made a video about it earlier. Ideally, I'd like to see them kind of in that, 8-2 range, right? At worst, in their first 10 games, really kind of set the tone early. At worst, 7-3. I do think that it's very possible for them to go 9-1, maybe even 10-0, but they do have 2 back-to-backs, and they do play. Like Minnesota, they play twice in like a 5-game span or whatever. Again, we're going to go over the entire schedule here in this live stream. And like I said, answer questions and go through the chat and all that stuff. But, it's just, I don't expect them to go 82-0, right? Like, like I said that I think that they probably win 55 games, probably do my predictions and do all the breakdown videos and all that stuff once we get closer to the season. I want to wait until we find out exactly what this team is and how this team looks, right? It's very likely that the team is what it is, but you never know, right? Something could happen. I mean, we had a trade earlier today with the Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets, right? So all of a sudden, Lakers could end up pulling something off. I'd like to see them go to get a Highsmith. That'd be awesome. But just in general, right? Like, I want to see the Lakers set themselves up, establish themselves early, kind of build upon what they need to build upon, and really kind of, I don't want to see them get too far behind and now they're playing catch up, right? Lakers did a really good job of establishing early and kind of continuing to build throughout the course of the season. It's just they had so many different iterations of this team, right? You had like, the Anthony Davis version, then you had the non-Anthony Davis version, then you had the injured Anthony Davis version, then you had the Luka version, then you had the no LeBron version. Like, it's just, you had all these different iterations, but the Lakers are still able to maintain. Where the previous years where the Lakers were in the play-in, kind of got themselves kind of behind the 8 ball, a lot of that was because the Lakers started off so poorly. Right? How many times did we see the Lakers, start the season 0-8 and 0-10 and, just kind of putting themselves so far behind that it really put them in a bad spot, put them in a tough, now they're playing catch up and they really have to make this push towards the back end of the season. I don't want to see them do that, right? I want them to kind of maintain, set the tone early, establish yourself early, and then kind of continue to build from there and then kind of grow and take it from there. But we'll see. Time will tell. But anyway, let's get into all of the chat questions. We'll get into a couple chat questions, then I'm going to bring up the schedule, kind of go over some of the schedule and stuff like that. But let's get through these beginning comments. Los Angeles Sparks won today. Beautiful, beautiful. Do you think we can have a decent starting 3-and-D win if we trade only Maxey, Dalton, and Gabe Vincent? I mean, depends on what your definition of decent is, right? Like, Matisse Thybulle, is that decent to you? Because yeah, I could see something like that. Could you get like Andrew Wiggins? Probably not, right? Like, I don't think that they're, you probably have to give up Rui in a deal like that. I don't even think that money works for that. But like, no, again, it depends on what you think is decent, right? Like, could you get, a Highsmith that I mentioned earlier? Sure, right? Like, but if you're looking for like a higher end guy, probably not. I don't think so, unless team just really wants to get off a salary with somebody. I can see a 9-1 start to the season. I absolutely could as well. And like I said, we'll go into the schedule here in a moment. Is it going to be an early pitch for? I hope not. I hope it's not an early pitch for you. I hope the Lakers kind of get going early, kind of build upon that. How do you feel? I feel wonderful. How do you feel about Luka, Marcus Smart, Jake, LeBron, and Ayton? I wouldn't hate it, especially if Jake LaRavia can really be that kind of two-way 3-and-D wing. I actually would love the idea of, adding in Jake LaRavia. I mean, he was a B+ rated defender. He said himself that the one thing that he worked on the most was his defense. So hopefully that is something that can happen and take place, right? Would it be cool if Jake LaRavia earns starting spot with his defense? Yeah, I mean, because that's the only way that he's going to earn it, right? If he's going to actually move into the starting units, because he's playing both sides of the basketball. He's playing defense and he's playing offense, which, it would be great for, this Lakers team. I mean, if they could find anybody, even Jared Vanderbilt could be, 36% from 3-point range, he probably starts, right? Like, we really need that guy that can kind of step up and play both sides of the ball consistently. I wish we could have Max Christie back. Likewise, that would be awesome. We could get Max Christie back. What's good, Tyler? Another W. Love stream. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everyone being here. I saw your video today. We have no excuse not to go at least 7-3, bare minimum. I want to see 8-2. Really kind of set the tone early. I mean, to me, it really starts with those first 4 games. You don't even leave California. And again, I'm going to pull up the schedule here in a moment. But you don't even leave California. You got to go 4-0 during that stretch. Like, there's no excuse, in my opinion. If Marcus Smart starts, would you rather have Rui or AR guard, second best perimeter player in the starting lineup? AR versus Rui in the starting lineup. I think it depends on the matchup, right? Like, if the second guy is more big, physical guy, then I probably want Rui. In general, more often than not, probably Austin Reeves. I feel like our losses will be against the Wolves the first time because that's my birthday, and the Lakers always seem to lose on my birthday. LOL. And one of the Hawks and Spurs, it's a back-to-back. But the schedule is so much better than last year. Thank goodness. I'm hoping you're wrong and we don't lose to Portland, because I'm hoping I'll go as a birthday present. Just hoping. Yeah, again, I think we'll go over everything here in a moment, but it's very well here. Let's just dive right into it, right? So pulling up the schedule here, right? And getting into the schedule and things. So as you can see, right, we have the Golden State Warriors, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Sacramento Kings, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Minnesota Timberwolves again, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Miami Heat, the Portland Trail Blazers, right? And the San Antonio Spurs, and then the Atlanta Hawks. That rounds out the first 10 games. But you have Golden State, Minnesota at home. So your first 2 games are at home. Then you play Sacramento in Sacramento, but you don't even leave California. You're still in California, right? Then you have Portland, right? Which that game, again, you're at home. So like I mentioned, you don't leave California until you're at Minnesota and at Memphis. So the Lakers are in California. The first 4 games, which is why, to me, I think the Lakers have to go 4-0. You beat Golden State, you beat Minnesota at home, You go to Sacramento, you beat Sacramento, and then you beat Portland. Yes, that Sacramento and Portland game is back to back, but I think you pull that off. I think you win that game, you knock that out, and you're good, right? Then from there, you have the Minnesota and Memphis games on the road. That's where I think things get tough. Ideally, I like if they split those, I think they go 8-2. Because next up you got Miami, Portland, San Antonio, and Atlanta as your next kind of last stretch of those games, right? You have Miami and Portland who are back to back, right? But Miami's at home and then you go to Portland. I'm worried that you'll lose to Portland that second time, right? And then the question is San Antonio, Atlanta. So I think Lakers, you beat Minnesota, or you beat Golden State, you beat Minnesota, right? You beat Sacramento, you beat Portland, right? Then let's say you lose to Minnesota at Minnesota. Okay, so now you're 4-1. Ideally, you beat Memphis. Now you're 5-1. You beat Miami, you're 6-1. Let's say you lose to Portland again, or you lose to Portland on the second time on the road because you play them twice in a 5-day span in 4 games, right? And then you beat San Antonio, you beat Atlanta. And then that takes you into Charlotte, who I think you should beat, and then Oklahoma City, which things could get dicey, right? So like Lakers have some pretty good a pretty good stretch going into kind of that in-season tournament and everything. Because even like when you look from where Atlanta is, you have Charlotte, OKC, who the Lakers have done a really good job with, right? You do have that road trip from November 8th to what is that? November 15th. And then you come home for a game and then you go back to Utah. So you literally have, in, I guess, technically dating back to the Portland game, you have, 2 home games in, what would that be? 2 home games in a 8-9 game span, right? That's pretty rough, right? I think that's not ideal. If you're the Lakers. So like that stretch is definitely going to be a tough stretch. That stretch is definitely going to be something that the Lakers are going to have to win a lot. But I mean, again, you look at that stretch, like New Orleans, Charlotte, you should beat those teams. OKC, can you beat OKC? Kind of set the tone, establish stuff. Utah, you should beat at least once. I mean, you play them twice in a pretty good span. But you got to beat them at least once. Milwaukee, we'll see what they look like and how good they are. So, I mean, even in that tough stretch, right, you have like Charlotte, who I think you should beat, New Orleans, who I think you should beat, and Utah, I think that you should beat, right? And then you kind of get into the back end, and then you got that Clippers and Dallas stretch, and then you got New Orleans again with Phoenix, and then at Toronto, at Boston, at Philadelphia, right? Boston should be a W. We'll see Can Philadelphia even stay healthy, right? Or have they completely fallen apart by that point? Phoenix, what does Phoenix look like? So, I mean, in the first 23 games before you get into that in-season tournament, I mean, I think the Lakers could be at least, maybe 15-8, 14-9, right? Like that would be nice. Could they be in that range? 13-8, 13-9 or 14-9. That would be good. At least, you're 5 games over 500. Because I mean, again, like especially if you start those first 4 games well, right? To me, that's what it really kind of boils down to. And then you kind of look into the back end of the season. The back end of the season, I think, is really favorable for the Lakers, right? Because you got from basically the last 10 games of the season are Detroit, which is probably going to be tough. But you have Indiana, you got Brooklyn, Washington, right? Those are 3 games. Cleveland's probably going to be tough. You got OKC twice, which I think you beat OKC at least one of those times, if not twice. Then you have Utah for the last game of the season, Phoenix, right? So their last 10 games, right? So basically game 72 to game 82. You have Detroit, Indiana, Brooklyn, Washington. I think you have to at least go 3-1. Like, let's say you lose to Detroit, but you beat Indiana, Brooklyn, and Washington. Let's say you lose to Cleveland, right? So that'd be 3-2 down that stretch. I think you beat OKC at least one of those 2 times. So then that's, 4-2. Say you lose one of the other ones, so 4-3. Dallas, you're at Dallas. So I think Luka balls out and you win that game. So now you're, we're 5-3. At Golden State, that might be a little tough, but Phoenix and Utah, you win those last 2. So I mean, I think bare minimum, you're that last stretch, you're 7-3. Those last kind of 10 games. So if the Lakers start off strong, and then towards the back end of the season, if they can finish 7-3, I think that's really good for the Lakers. I think that puts the Lakers in a really good spot. And I mean, you have a bunch of back-to-backs and all that stuff, right? Like you have a back-to-back against OKC and San Antonio. That one's going to be tough. You have where's that other one? You have another one that's another like really tough one. Portland and Toronto should be ideally you should win both of those. That's something that you at least should pull off. New Orleans and San Antonio should be another one. But you have a lot of like San Antonios off of the back-to-backs, which I think is kind of interesting, right? But let me jump back into the chat here for a moment, and then I'll pull the schedule back up and we'll talk about it a little more. Where was I? And here we go. Which player has the most to prove this season for the Lakers? Which player has the most to prove? Austin Reaves. I mean, he's in a contract year, right? He's going to be the 3rd, maybe even the 4th option, depending on Luka Doncic and DeAndre Ayton's connection. I mean, this is a real make or break season for Austin Reaves. I mean, this is the difference between you getting a bag or you getting $15 million a year, right? If you can't deliver in the playoffs and you're not, and you kind of are pedestrian during the regular season or inconsistent during the regular season. So to me, it's Austin Reaves for sure. I like Rui, but we need a wing like Wiggins. I'm still hoping somehow we get him at the deadline or something. He's such a good fit. 2026 makes sense if you get a bunch of good role players. But yeah, I don't know about it. Yeah, like the whole 2026, 2027, like salary space and everything, like just, I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense to me. Probably 53 to 56 wins if healthy isn't a big concern. I think I said 55 right now. I'm going to do like a more in-depth look into this roster once we know, like, once we get closer to training camp and we know for sure, okay, this is the roster that we have. But yeah, I think that's fair. Like 53 to 56 wins, somewhere in that range. I think the Lakers should try to have Luka guard slower, bigger forwards. I mean, that's probably my guess. I think you'll probably see Luka defend a lot of threes, right? Like I think you'll see, or kind of the spot up, catch and shoot 3 kind of guys, right? Like I think you'll see him defend a lot of 2s and 3s, depending on the matchups. But yeah, and then I'd say we line up of Smart, Reaves, Luka, Braun, and Ayton. Yeah, I can see something similar to that. I'd be curious if LeBron James is grumpy to start the season. I'll be curious to see if LeBron is grumpy to start the season. I mean, I think LeBron's going to be motivated, right? I mean, this could be his last chance. So I think he's locked in. What's going on, Lakers Nation? Appreciate you being here. Brunson has Mikal and OG on this team. Tatum had Drew and Derek White on his team. Who's your dream targets for long-term fit and that fit type players? My dream targets would be like Dyson Daniels and like Jalen Suggs, like those type of guys. I just don't think realistically, I don't think that those are guys. But if you're asking my dream target, that'd be my dream target. But like, like a Herb Jones, I wouldn't mind like a Herb Jones long-term. Trey Murphy, guys like that. I mean, maybe it's a dude Thero, right? Maybe Thero is able to kind of evolve and emerge into that guy for the Lakers. So that's my hope. Hopefully it's him. I hope JJ tries some different lineups this year. Just see what we have. Try some 2K lineups. Maybe a LeBron, Luka, LeBron, Vando, Thero, and maybe a Jake or Maxi Kleber to see what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see JJ and the Lakers experiment a little bit. right? In particular, like I think you have to, especially early on, you have to experiment, right? Like you obviously want to win every game, right? So if a line, like, and it's a fine line, right? Because you want to be able to pull the plug in a timely fashion. If something's not working out, it's kind of like, oh, like, let's get off of this. But like early on in the season is when you should be experimenting, trying different lineups, getting as much data and analytics on certain lineups and stuff that you can get. I've heard JJ is a big Bronny believer, and he's going to get Gabe minutes to placate LeBron James and get him motivated. Might work. I mean, it's possible. I mean, look, Bronny James looked good in summer league. I mean, if he can be a more athletic Gabe Vincent, it's not like Gabe Vincent was like unbelievably incredible for us. I think if Bronny can come in and play some serviceable defense and give us, 10 minutes a night and knock down the occasional three and the occasional bucket and move without the basketball, I think there is a path for him on this roster. Got tickets to watch the Lakers at Suns. Nice. With my mom in February. I got the tickets after the deadline because what if we trade for Giannis? This is the NBA. Hey, you never know. You never know. That would be awesome, though. Hopefully we have another superstar. That'd be great. And then you can go to that game and let me know how it was. Why did they give us OKC at the very end of the season twice again? Yeah, I mean, they love it. But look, again, Lakers have owned OKC over the last few years. I mean, it took Luka getting ejected for them even just to pull off the win. Again, Lakers, like I keep explaining to people, like the Lakers are a big team, right? Even last year, they were a big team. The problem is we weren't big at the center position, right? We were very small and thin at the center position. But the Lakers are a big team, right? I mean, you got to think, like, outside of like four guys, everyone else is like 6'7" or bigger, right? Like, so that's the thing. Like, you look at OKC, it's a bunch of like 6'3" to 6'5" guards, right? So that's the difference. Top six easy dub on Halloween. What do you think? Also, Triple J play. Look, I think Triple J would be fantastic on the Lakers. I like the idea of Triple J. I've been on the trade Reeves train. Obviously, not a dumb trade that you've done just because. Yeah, exactly. Again, if the right trade is there, you take it. Right? I don't think you don't trade Austin Reeves just to trade him, but there's something there that makes sense. You take it. I'm saying 58 and 24. Wow. I want to say 60 and 22. But we play in a stack West. Hey, never say never. I think the Lakers are going to be the best offense in basketball. And yeah, I do. I think Lakers will be the best offense in basketball. And if they can be, middle of the pack defensively, I think the Lakers will be in pretty good spot. I meant, do you think Triple J plays on Halloween? I'm sorry, maybe I misread it. Like I said, it's late where I'm at. It's 12:30. So I might have just misread what you said. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, right? I mean, hopefully he's not injured. You never want to see that. I'd like to I want to see teams at full strength every time they play the Lakers. That way, one, there's no excuse, and two, we can better gauge how does this team look against those teams. If they're, it's kind of hard to know how the Lakers match up against, a Memphis if like Ja and Triple J aren't playing. It's like, oh, we don't really know. But let's bring up this schedule again real quick, kind of go over a few more things while some more comments trickle in. So couple kind of key highlights and stretches, right? So like you have a stretch where in February you got like Dallas, the Clippers, the Celtics, right? Which the Celtics I think should be a dub, but like you got a lot of these like Dallas Clippers. Like again, you have the Clippers in Dallas earlier in the season. Got a lot of these like stretches like Denver and the Clippers. Right? You have that stretch where literally to start the new or towards the end of January into February, you have Denver, the Clippers, and Dallas. Then you play Chicago, then Cleveland, right? And then Washington, okay. And then New York. Then you have that New York trip where you play the Knicks and then Brooklyn. Philadelphia, again, we'll see how they are. But then you have like Golden State, OKC again, San Antonio, Dallas, and the Clippers, right? Like that's a tough stretch, right? Especially because you play San Antonio on like 2 different back-to-backs before that, right? So, you kind of look at that stretch and it's like, man, like that from basically January 20th till basically March 1st is pretty tough. I mean, I do think that this is pretty, like, the schedule is pretty balanced, right? Like, I don't think it's one of those schedules where it's like, you see a lot like last year, you just had these like blocks that were just like, man, like how are the Lakers going to get out of this unscathed? Like, I do think it's pretty balanced as far as like what you're going to play, but like that stretch, like I said, you play Denver, the Clippers, Dallas, right? Cleveland, New York, Philadelphia, we'll see how they look, but Golden State, OKC, San Antonio, Dallas, the Clippers, Golden State again, all in that like, month and a half span, right? Like it's a tough stretch. I mean, Lakers should, you play several of those teams a couple times, so Lakers should win at least one or two of those. Like, again, you play the Clippers twice during that stretch, right? So it's like you got to at least win one of those. You play Dallas twice against that stretch. It's like you got to at least win one of those, right? You have the Dallas and the Clippers earlier in the season, so we'll see how that kind of goes and how things kind of, stretch out beyond that. Like, good thing is during that stretch, they don't really have any back-to-back. Like, all of the games are, every other day. Which is beneficial, right? Because it's like, if you're going to have a tough stretch and then you also got to play, 10 back-to-backs, it's like, that's even more brutal. It adds even more to it. So the fact that the Lakers, kind of get it cooled off, but then like you have like tough back-to-backs, like you have at Dallas and then in LA, right? Like against OKC shortly after, and then, and then at Golden State, right? And then at Phoenix, right? So you have a back-to-back at the end of the season against Golden State and Phoenix, right? It's like things like that is, it's tough, right? Like, so we'll kind of see how the Lakers kind of play into this and how it all plays out, because it's gonna be interesting to see how it kind of unfolds with them. But anyway, I'm gonna answer these last couple questions and then skate on out of here, because just wanted to do I wanted to do this last night, but I had a bunch of stuff going on, and by the time I was done, it was late and I was beat. So I was like, I'll do it a night too late. So I know this should have been done yesterday, but I figured we'll talk about it today. I wanted to do a live stream about it because it's just easy to break it down. But let me answer these last few questions. I'm gonna skate on out of here. If it was realistic option to trade Austin Reeves for Max Christie, would you do it, Tyler? No, because I think that'd be bad asset management, right? Like, I would have traded Austin Reeves in the Luka trade to keep Max Christie, but it's because at that moment you could have done it and it would have been justified, right? Like, if you turn Austin Reeves into Luka Doncic, like if you did, because you could have traded Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, Max Christie, all your first, you could have given up everything to get Luka Doncic, and it still probably wouldn't have been enough, right? Like, but you still could have argued that the Lakers fleeced the Dallas Mavericks. So in that moment, I would have done it, but now to like go back and be like, oh, well, like we'll trade Austin Reeves for Max, I just think that it would be poor asset management for the Lakers, because I just think Austin Reeves is your best tradable asset. And I just think if you're going to trade him, it's gotta be justified. And I don't know if Max Christie is justified, right? I think Max Christie is exactly what you want and slots in beautifully alongside Luka, but I also think he's still probably a year or two away from really being that like KCP type slotted alongside a Luka Doncic. So 8-game away stretch, yeah, 4-4, yeah, that's going to be the tough part, right? Like, I think the Lakers walk away 5-3, hopefully. Harden is closer to 300 than 250. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like watching him in the gym recently and him kind of in the workout, like he looked like Luka last year, right? I'm not scared of any team. Likewise, not at all. I think genuinely Lakers can beat any team in the league. It's just, again, it's just everybody showing up and all the components playing their role, right? Like, what does the Minnesota series look like if Austin Reeves actually shows up, right? Like, again, Lakers were in most, if not all, of those games, right? Like, if Austin Reeves is half decent and not like unplayably bad in those games, is that a different series, even without a center, right? Like, but you need to see how, like, you need guys to show up is basically the gist of it, right? Like, you need your guys, especially your top end guys, to be reliable, right? Luka gassed out and kind of worn down, and then so he's not showing up in the fourth quarters. LeBron just looked fatigued and worn down at times, and a lot of that was just how much he probably had to carry during the regular season, where now he's not going to have to do that. So we'll kind of see how that all plays out. But which comment did I remove by accident? Can you tell me? And also, I wasn't a fan of Christie, but he had a real stretch right before he got traded of the improvement. So I have it up on StreamYard. So I don't know. It shows me all the comments, even the ones that are deleted. I have to actually go into YouTube's studio, and I don't have it popped up right now because I just kind of wanted to jump on, do this, and get out. So I don't know exactly which comment got removed. I'd have to go, like I said, I'd have to go into the YouTube studio and do it, but I'm doing everything from StreamYard. But then you said I also wasn't a fan of Christie. Wasn't a fan of Christie, but he had a real stretch right before he got traded. I personally, I was super high on Christie. I think he's the guy I wanted to keep personally. I hate to say it, but I'm praying we trade Gabe for someone like Thibault and give Gabe's minutes to Bronny. Likewise, honestly, I really do. I think Bronny, at least on the defensive side of things, I think he could be more impactful than Gabe Vincent is, because he's just more athletic, right? So that'll help a lot, allowing him to be relentless. Not just that, but like you could like not play Bronny in spots and give him DMPs and stuff like that, and it's kind of justified. And I don't think he'd really complain. Where Gabe, it's kind of like, why isn't Gabe playing, right? Like, it's because he's the veteran. When do the Lakers play my Cavs, Tyler? The first game, here, I'll pull it back up. So the first game where the Lakers and the Cavs play, I believe, we just went over that. It was in February. Let me give me 1 second. Let me pull down the comment, because the comment's kind of in my way. There we go. All right. Let's see. The first game is, I think is it in February? Yeah, they play them towards the end of the season on March 31st, but I think they play them. Yeah, there it is. So it's the end of January. So the first game at Cleveland is January 28th, 2026. So we won't see Cleveland till basically towards the the back end of the season. So which will be good, because it'll kind of tell us we'll kind of know where both teams are at that point, right? We'll know if it's going to be a good game or not, right? Like, we'll know if the game is like, if it's going to be worth watching or not, or if it's just going to be a total blowout, right? One way or the other. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Looking forward to that. And just all the really good teams, right? Like, I want the good teams. I want the Lakers to match up and stack up against the good teams. We need to build more depth. Luka and LeBron were gassed in those fourth quarters. We probably need another quality bench player. I mean, again, it depends on other guys, right? Like, if Austin Reeves is like half decent in the playoffs, is LeBron and Luka gassed, right? Or even if they are, and Austin Reeves is great, then he can kind of close out at the end, right? Like, it's things like that. Or, if Jake LaRavia steps up and he's a quality bench player for us, right? Like, now you don't have to rely on LeBron and Luka so heavily. Or, DeAndre Ayton should hopefully make things easier for Luka Doncic as that outlet guy and the pick and pop guy and stuff like that, right? So it's up to our other guys. Like, how does Austin Reeves look? How does Rui look? How does Jake LaRavia look? How does DeAndre Ayton look? So on and so forth, right? So, I mean, I'd like, that's kind of why I'd like a kind of a bucket getter. That's why I'm not against like going and like I've talked about like a Cam Thomas or, getting a Malik Monk or something like that. I don't hate the idea of like going and getting a guy that's a bucket getter. I know people look at it and go, we need defense. It's like, we have defense. Like, we need two-way guys, but I also wouldn't mind just like a guy that just come off the bench and give you 15 a night, right? Like, I think that could be very beneficial, especially over the course of the regular season. I really want to see Bronny and Thero's minutes this year. Yes, I'm actually really excited for Thero and Bronny. I mean, I've been a big Bronny guy since we got him, but I'm really excited to see Thero. I think he has the potential to immediate impact. Do you think the team we had before the Luka trade with the addition of DK trade for Mark Williams would have won a chip? I don't know if we trade for Mark Williams, if I'm being honest. So here's something people got to keep in mind. If the Lakers don't trade for Luka Doncic, the Lakers might have been a play-in team, right? Because you would have had a pretty big stretch without Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis might have not even been healthy. And you would have had a stretch where you wouldn't have Anthony Davis and LeBron for like, 15 games. So Lakers might have been a play-in team. That's one. But let's assume that they're fully healthy and they go and they trade for a center, right? Yes, I think that the Lakers would have been better equipped to win an NBA championship. Right? I think that, you would have had better defense. You would have had, Anthony Davis. You would have better chemistry, right? Better understanding, right? Like Anthony Davis was balling out that year, right? So I absolutely do. But, you absolutely have to make that trade, right? Like you don't say no to that trade. Like that trade there's no ands, ifs, buts about it. You make that trade, even if you knew that, like they would have went on a deep finals run, right? Because you don't know if they win the championship. You do that. No problem. Appreciate you. Do you think we make another trade, and are you fine with going into the season as? I'm totally okay with going into the season as is. Like if the Lakers don't do anything between now and the start of the season, I'm okay with it. Right? I even think that there's an argument to be made that that's what they should do, because right now, like the clear kind of holes or flaws are like, we need a 3-and-D wing, right? Like, and we could use, maybe another backup center and stuff. But like, again, what if Jake LaRavia becomes that guy for the Lakers? Like, what if he really is just that good? Or maybe what if Jared Vanderbilt shoots 36% from 3-point range this season, right? Like, then you don't need to, not saying you don't go make that trade for Andrew Wiggins, some of that, but now you're coming from a place that isn't desperate. Now you're coming from a place where it's not like, whoa, we really need, like, no, now you're coming from hey, we'd still love this guy, but if not, we're good with these guys, right? So I do think that there's an argument to be made that the Lakers should go into this, unless that, obviously, if you can go get Andrew Wiggins for the right price, then you do it, right? But if, teams aren't willing to really negotiate and work and they don't want to help the Lakers right now, one, I think Lakers expiring contracts are an appreciating asset. I think the longer you can kind of hold out, the longer you can hold on, the more value that those contracts will have, as far as trade value goes. But yeah, do I think the Lakers make another trade? Absolutely. Like I will be pretty surprised if they don't do something. Again, like Rob Pelinka is very trade happy, right? Like for as many people that are like, Rob Pelinka, he's not going to do it. Like the guy's made a trade every year but one. And the year that he didn't make a trade, no one else did. It was like the worst trade. It was what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago now. Like everybody that got traded in the offseason, like DeJounte Murray and all those guys, right? Like, so if there's a trade to be made, Rob Pelinka is going to make it. And how do we know that? He has a history of it. We've seen it. Did anyone see that clown Steven still talk about that? Dude, that guy just it's so funny. He's just like, oh, like me and LeBron don't like each other. Like LeBron hasn't said anything about you. Right? Like, oh, I don't talk about LeBron unless I'm asked. Yet every single time, like, at what point do you just go, like, if that's true and you really don't want to talk about LeBron, at what point do you go, like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm done talking about LeBron. Everyone knows how I feel. Like, you don't, not every question you have to answer. If somebody asked you a question about something personal or whatever, you'd probably be like, hey, I don't want to talk about that, right? Like, he's loving the attention. That's all it is. I'd love Mikal Bridges or Miles Bridges on the squad. There we go. Miles Bridges. I mean, I've talked about that a lot. And I think he's actually very realistic, right? Because Charlotte just has like 15 guys that can play that position. So I do think he's actually pretty realistic if you're going to bring somebody in. Let's see. Sorry, trying to find something. Lakers weren't winning the chip before the Luka trade. They weren't even better than the Timberwolves before Luka got to LA. I mean, I think it depends on the moves that they made. Like as they were, probably not. But you got to think though too is like if the Lakers don't trade for Luka Doncic, which again you trade for Luka Doncic, like that's a no-brainer. But if the Lakers don't trade for Luka Doncic, they probably make other trades, right? So what are those other trades? Right? Do they go trade for a center and then move AD to the 4, right? Like, do they go in, maybe do they push their chips in and go get a Walker Kessler at that point and, maybe another piece or player or go get a bench score because they had like one of the worst offensive benches in all of basketball. Do they go get a Colin Sexton and a Walker Kessler to solve the bench scoring in the center position, right? Like, I don't know. It just depends on kind of how, like, what do the Lakers do if they don't make the Luka trade? The Lakers, as they were, I don't know if they win a championship personally. I say we make a trade right before the deadline, knowing Pelinka, probably Giannis, because season goes on. Giannis might become disgruntled when they're 30 and 20. Yeah, I mean, definitely something to kind of keep an eye on. Problem is like getting Giannis or Jokic is much more realistic after this season, like because in the offseason, the Lakers would have 3 firsts that they could trade, plus like Austin Reeves and his contracts to get signed and trade Austin Reeves, right? So like they would just have more that they could give up, right? Like like right now it's like Austin Reeves, a first, Rui Hachimura, and like 4 pick swaps. It's like, is that enough to really get Giannis? Probably not. But in the offseason, it's like Austin Reeves, Jake LaRavia, Adu Thero, 4 swaps and 3 firsts. It's like now you have that competitive. Now it's like a comparable, and we could absorb most, if not all, of his contract if you wanted to. So you could even clear salary if you wanted to, not have to take on a bunch of bad contracts or something. Let's see. It's a big missed opportunity not to get Grimes in that Luka trade. Mavs later trade Grimes plus a second for Caleb Martin. If we threw in DK, Mavs would have agreed to salary matching. Perfect 2-way shooting guard. Maybe. I mean, the thing is, like, when you're in that position to land Luka, the last thing you want to do is end up doing something that could potentially sabotage it or mess it up. Right? Like they obviously had to like do this. That's where Maxi Kleber came into it and stuff. But it's like, because originally he wanted the first and Austin Reeves and all that stuff. And like Rob Pelinka goes, it's kind of hard to be like, okay, we're not going to trade Austin Reeves. We're not going to trade the first round pick. And you're also going to give us, Quentin Grimes. And we're going to, like, it's just, you're kind of playing that game. Look, maybe Rob did. Maybe Rob was willing to do it, and they said no, right? Like, we don't know what the details were. It's easy to be like, oh, Lakers should have also gotten, because they also should have gotten a Daniel Gafford in the trade, right? Like, they should have kept Max Christie in the trade. But we don't know what was talked about, what was discussed, what was off the table, what was on the table, what was needed to give up. Maybe they wanted more, and Rob was like, nah, but also the plan was to go get a center, right? So if you trade Dalton Connect and you land Quentin Grimes, now you don't have what you need to go get Mark Williams. Right? Like the Lakers didn't know that Mark Williams was going to fail the physical that they gave him. Right? The idea was like, okay, we need to also save enough to replace Anthony Davis. Right? So again, there's a lot of factors that go into that we just, we weren't privy to. I mean, it's easy to be like, oh, we should have gotten this or that or the other, but Luka plays basketball today, guys. Yeah, thanks. Jared Vanderbilt's jumper looks faster and better. Yeah, it's a lot more smoother. I mean, you got to keep in mind, 2 seasons ago, he worked on it, right? Supposedly it was super improved. We got that one preseason game in which he was 3 of 5 from 3 and then got hurt. And then last offseason, he got double foot surgery. So it wasn't like he was able to work on it all season, right? So it's like, we don't know what he looks like. And I definitely think we still need a 3-and-D wing. But again, like, what if Jared Vanderbilt's that this year for us? Like, what if he's 36% from 3-point range, right? Jake LaRavia maybe could be that. So, like I mentioned earlier, I'm okay with the Lakers going into the season as is and kind of, evaluating and taking a step back and just see. How would you feel if we took like a down year in 2026 if LeBron leaves just for us to build up quality role players, and then we sign like the star in the following free agency? Problem is, and so there's a couple things about that. So like, one, is Luka going to be okay with that? Right? Something you got to keep in mind. 2, right? Like, is that star available? Like, what if Giannis gets traded at the trade deadline to another team and he signs an extension? And then what if in the offseason Jokic signs the extension? Now you have no stars, and now you're taking a down year, right? And it's like to get nothing the following year, right? Like, and look, I've said this on several occasions. It's very possible the Lakers already know. If I know Jokic is coming in 2027, then I'm not doing anything, right? Like, if I have to take a down year, I take a down year. Right? Because I know Jokic is coming, right? Him and Luka are besties. You're probably, if healthy, winning the next like 3 championships. Like, so I think it just depends on the situation, right? If the Lakers know that, like, hey, we're getting, a Jokic, like Jokic wants to come in 2027, Luka's told us this, then yeah, you do whatever you have to. Right. You kind of have a down year so you can keep the salary caps, but you try to put together the best roster as possible. But hey, like, if you can't get anything, you can't get anything. You just kind of go as is and ride in the season and hope for the best. Right. And then that following year, it's like, boom, now we land Jokic. Now we get all the role players. Now let's go and contend and win an NBA championship. I think it just depends on what the Lakers know. Right. But I've said this before. I mean, I made a whole video about it. Like, I don't want to see the Lakers hold off on moves in the hopes that somebody will come, right? I'm one of those people that believe, like, if you build it, they will come, right? Like, if you put together a championship roster, another star is going to see that and go, LeBron's leaving. If I replace LeBron, me, LeBron, Ayton, Luka, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jake LaRavia, like, we can go win an NBA championship. Maybe multiple, right? Like, that's like, but the problem is, it's like, okay, if you're just terrible, and it's like, okay, Lakers, like, I'm hoping that the Lakers can build a contender around me, and like, it's just not the same thing. And there's also the potential that that star doesn't come, right? So like, like the Kawhi Leonard situation, Lakers waited around for Kawhi. They did before that. They did it with Paul George, and they missed out on a bunch of guys that they could have gotten and maybe been already a contender, but chose not to because they thought Paul George was going to come, and then he didn't come. Right? And then they thought Kawhi was going to come, and he didn't come. Now, luckily, the Lakers were able to pull off enough of a roster, to where they were able to win an NBA championship, and Anthony Davis came and all that stuff. But at the time, it was like, right? Like, we waited for Kawhi, and it didn't pay off. let's see. Because of money being offloaded. That's right. Yeah. Why we hold young players for too long? First THT, now Jalen Schifino, now DK. DK should have been traded the same night when he scored 37. I mean, they did trade DK. It's just you didn't know that the Mark Williams trade was going to fall through. I mean, the Jalen Schifino. I mean, yeah, you got to give him time, right? Like, obviously, his values in particular, like, wasn't great. Taylor Horton Tucker, that one, they definitely should. I mean, they shouldn't have chose him over Caruso, but they did, right? Like, the Jalen Schifino one, kind of didn't have a choice, right? DK is like, they traded him, right? But also, again, it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? It's like, oh, we want to develop guys. You need to develop guys. But then we also trade all of them, right? So it's like, how do you develop guys when you're trading them so quickly? Right? Again, it also depends on what the return is and what you're trading for. Like, there's a lot of factors that go into it. It's not as just black and white as it seems. What is a trade that you think the Lakers can make that no one will expect? I mean, that no one will expect would be like a Miles Bridges type of trade. Go get a Miles Bridges. Like, that's something that kind of would come out of left field. Because, I mean, like I think the most realistic one is Portland. But I like, that's something that people would expect. Andrew Wiggins, because it was reported, would expect. I don't know. I mean, I could see something like if Houston, or if not Houston, Phoenix, if Phoenix isn't very good, do they try to just get something for Dylan Brooks and try to clear some salary? Right. So maybe you get like a Dylan Brooks, something like that. Like, I could see, I'd kind of keep an eye on some of these teams, that potentially underperform. As a person, Reeves is a nice guy that I like to talk with people, even though he might seem shy, but I want to win. And I think we got to trade him for something good also, because he wants 30 million. I mean, this is separate. Yeah, Lakers always in win now mode. Yeah, agreed. They're always in win now mode. Like I said, it just, as far as like the win now mode thing, like I said, it depends on what the Lakers know. Like, because again, if I know that Jokic is coming, then I need to make sure I do whatever I can to get him. Right. So I can't sign, like, if the only way for me to build a contender is to like sign a bunch of long-term guys, then no, I'm holding off. I'm waiting for Jokic to come, right? Like, that kind of thing, and then build that contender. Right. But as far as Reeves goes, again, like, is there a version where Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic can coexist? Sure. But you have to have a very, very specific team. You need like Jared Vanderbilt to be a 38 to 40% three-point shooter, and you need a Dude Theroux to evolve into the same thing. And you need, DeAndre Ayton to become a legitimate three, not three, be a legitimate rim protector, right? Like, if you get like an athletic, versatile defensive center and two just hyper athletic, versatile defensive wings, then yes, I think Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic can exist. Problem is, it's tough, right? It's hard. That's the issue. So yeah, if you're gonna trade Austin Reeves, you gotta trade him. I would waive and stretch Gabe in order to take Highsmith's salary from the Heat. Well, Highsmith got traded to the Brooklyn Nets, so they don't have to waive Gabe. Let's see. What's good? Hype for the season? Absolutely. Of course I am. I can't wait. Do all the post-game streams and all that stuff. Definitely everyone look forward to those. Be here before we know it. Who's your top 5 favorite role players of the LeBron era in LA? Role players? Gotta go with Alex Caruso for sure. Probably go Alex Caruso. I really liked Rondo when he was with us. Alex Caruso, Rondo. I really like Jared Vanderbilt when he's healthy. I mean, dude, the guy is like wizardry, man. Like that Warrior series we were talking about, like, it seemed like he was like he had instant transmission. The guy's just like teleporting all over the court. Like, that guy's unbelievable. He's just like a serviceable offense, not even elite offensively, just like a serviceable offensive game away from being like elite for the Lakers. I really like what he brings to the table and just his hustle and his grit and the defense and all that stuff. Trying to think. Problem is a lot of the guys just failed. Outside of like the 2020 roster, a lot of the guys just kind of failed. Just weren't great for the Lakers, which sucks. Like the LeBron era has been rough. Kyle Kuzma. I liked Kuz when he was with the Lakers. I'll say Dwight Howard, probably my 5. Like I said, it's just the problem is a lot of them. Yeah, literally everyone on that 2020 team. Yeah, like trying to like balance it out and have guys for now too. But it's just like I said, outside of that 2020 roster, it kind of not been great. DK is not projecting to get any meaningful minutes. We should trade him now, even if it's just for 2 seconds. His value will not restore if he's on the bench. I mean, the problem is like you might need him for salary filler. Right? Like if a team's willing to trade him for 2 seconds now, they're willing to trade him for seconds later, right? Like there's always going to be that team because he's young enough. There's always going to be that team that thinks like, oh, we can do better, right? Like his value isn't going to get better, but like he'll have value. Like you're not worried about the value. And if that, like for example, that Andrew Wiggins trade comes along, like if you end up trading Dalton Connect right now for say 2 seconds, and then a month into the season, the Miami Heat are like, all right, fine, we'll trade you Andrew Wiggins. You can't even do it anymore, right? Now you'd have to find a third team, and now it gets complicated. It's just you're better off holding on to Dalton Connect right now because he also randomly could just win you a game randomly, right? Like you got to wait and find that right trade, find that right move. He more likely than not will be kind of salary filler at some point. Problem is if you just salary dump him, essentially, you may end up needing his salary. Later on down the road. Game you're most hyped for this season, next season, the first game in Dallas, right? Like, I'm hoping both teams are fully healthy. I'm hoping that Luka is. I'm excited to see Luka just ball out, absolutely ball out. Connect Kleba and a first for Nkongwe. I would wait until you see what DeAndre Ayton does. Because like if DeAndre Ayton's everything you need, then no, I wouldn't. Right? Like, because why trade for a center if you found him? Like so to me, I'd wait. If DeAndre Ayton is like Portland DeAndre Ayton, which I don't think he will be, but if he is, then yeah, I'd probably I wouldn't hate to go get Nkongwe. But yeah, I would have to, like me personally, I would wait until we see what happens with Ayton. Is Kevin Love to the Lakers on a buyout pointless? I mean, right now it is, but I mean, if you needed to fill a rough spot, like Kevin Love on like the Jared Dudley role, I don't think is pointless. I think he makes some sense. It's just, like I'm not expecting him to come in and be a player. He'd kind of be just like the locker room voice, right? Like be the Jared Dudley type that can in a pinch play if need be. If Randall only gets 33 million, is AR really worth 30 million? Yes, because I mean, again, like just like you can't. It's hard to compare because again, it's different roles, different positions, different everything, right? Like, no. Austin Reeves is a good basketball player. And based on like the going rate for guys that are giving you his level of production, about a $30 million guy, right? Like I'm somebody that's as critical as you can be on Austin Reeves. And I'm somebody that talked for years now about trading Austin Reeves, but fair is fair. I think he's about a $30 million player. Can a Giannis and Ayton front court be successful? Absolutely. Giannis is developing that little mid-range, which is nice. But Ayton is a guy that can knock down and operate in the mid-range. You got both of them kind of play off of each other and, kind of run some pick and pop actions. Let Giannis, I could see you saw it in at the 4 and 5 at times. Yeah, There's always a way. I'd rather have Love than Vanderbilt, really. Ayton and Giannis would make friends instantly. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential with those two. Mavs Lakers should have been opening night. I agree. I think that's a missed opportunity. D'Lo and AD versus the Lakers. Flag's debut with Luka in the building would have been peak basketball. Agreed, 1,000%. I think it's a missed opportunity. Thoughts on role player core of Laravia, Bronny, Thero, and Vando. Vando, I'm curious. Like, if Vando isn't like half decent offensively, I don't think he sticks around much longer. I think the Lakers end up trading him. Laravia, I am like super high on. Bronny, I'm not super high on, but I'm high on. Like, I think he has potential to be a good two-way player. And Thero, I'm like probably the highest. Like, Thero has star potential. It's just, will he ever, fulfill that? I mean, he has all the tools: hyper athletic, sizable, lengthy, can create for himself, create for others. He was playing point guard and all that stuff and handled the ball before his growth spurt. Do you think Ayton can stretch the 3-point? Yeah, I mean, he has in the past. It's just he hasn't been great the last few seasons. If he can knock it down with some consistency, I mean, obviously I don't want him taking 10 a game, but if he takes the occasional 3, and if he can knock it down with confidence, then yeah, absolutely. They got Lakers and Rockets on Christmas as well. That's a good matchup. Yeah, 100%. Tyler loves his community because if he didn't, he won't be speeding through these comments and giving half-ass comments. He answers each one fairly. Yeah, of course. I always try to, get through as many comments as possible, and talk to as many of you as possible. And well, I mean, like I say it all the time. That's why I do these live streams. And I actually talk, I do the normal chat. I know a lot of people will only answer super chats and stuff like that. I try to, even when I do have streams where I get a bunch of super chats, I always try to, talk and get through as many normal chat comments as possible, because like, to me, this is how we build the community, right? Is this, it's hard, like, yes, I try to respond to comments and stuff like that and the videos and stuff, but it's not the same as like, hey, we're in real time communicating. So, I try to, take the time to, have those conversations. And, if you're going to take the time to comment and be here, I might as well take the time to try to actually answer your questions properly. Right. But I'm going to get out of here on that note. I've gone over an hour and it's getting late. It's already 1:07. So I'm starting to fade here a little bit, getting a little tired, but I appreciate all of you. Seriously, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the season. Again, those first 10 games are crucial for the Lakers. But do another live stream soon. Hopefully we get some news around the corner soon. I definitely will do some for training camp and stuff, because yeah, there should be a lot of news at a training camp that I'm really looking forward to. But you are all beautiful, and I appreciate every single one of you. On your way out, please take a quick second, hit that like button for me, hit that subscribe button for me. And everyone that hung out, seriously, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the